My advice to you today, Sunday, February the 1st of 2026, in the calmness of about an hour before the overseas silver market opens, is if you don't have to do anything for a while, just stand aside and let those who have to do something do whatever it is they need to do. Wait for the smoke to clear, and then, in a calm and a rational way, decide where you want to go from this point on. Well, my name is Rick Bloodworth. This is the Common Sense Christian Financial Channel. As I mentioned, it's Sunday. We're just about an hour before the overseas market opens up in Shanghai. And if you'll recall, last Friday was a historic day. We went down over $30 in the silver market, but we had a range of about $45 in the silver market. In my haste to get a video in on Saturday as a break for my grandchildren, I said it was $55, but of course the math was wrong. About a $45 range, the largest range we've ever had in history, the largest drop we've ever had in history from a nominal standpoint. But again, we started off at $115.47 at the open. We went as high as $118.58. We set a floor, at least a temporary floor. It may not last more than an hour. It may last for months. Who knows? But we set a floor of $73.67, the low for Friday, before we bounced back up to close at $85.15. So we closed about $11.50 higher than our low for the day, which would be a tremendous range just right there, that $11.50. But again, we had a range of $45 on Friday, the largest range we've had in history, the largest sell-off we've had in history. And so by now, you've probably seen all the videos, you've probably seen all the YouTube experts telling you exactly why it dropped and how they knew it was going to drop and all that. But the point of the matter that I wanted to really make today is if you don't have to do anything right now, just stand aside and wait until the dust settles. Well, I'm going to take this chart down and maybe just discuss a few things that I believe really needs to be at the forefront of our attention. When it comes to the margins that we've been paying lately or getting paid for our silver, whether we're buying or selling, these margins have been at historical spreads, and they haven't come down any this weekend. That does not mean they won't come down on Monday, but right now the big online dealers are not taking any chances. And so here's essentially what we have. I'm going to give you some of the quotes from two of the largest online dealers in America for what they're currently paying their customers to sell silver to them for, as well as what they're willing to let go of it now. And I think as you look at that spread, you'll see that this is really not a favorable time to be buying or selling, excuse me, unless you just absolutely have to. But I'll start with JM Bullion. According to their website, right now they're paying $12 below spot for Eagles, $13 below spot for Maple Leafs, $16 below spot for 1 ounce silver rounds, and then they're not bidding at all on 90% silver. Well, their buy prices are $14 over spot for Eagles, so they've got a $26 margin in there, a $26 commission spread between their buy and sell prices, the highest I've ever seen. The 1 ounce rounds, they're paying selling to you for $5 over spot, and their 90% they'll sell to you for $1 over spot. SD Bullion is a little bit better. As far as buying Eagles from you today, they'll give you $7 below spot, $9 below spot for the Maple Leafs, $14 below spot for the 1 ounce rounds, and they will buy your 90%, but they're paying $21 under spot right now if you want to sell them 90%. And then on the sell side, what they will sell you the silver for, they're charging a $12 premium over spot for Eagles, so they've got a $19 spread in there. For Maple Leafs, they'll pay you they'll sell it to you for $10 over spot. 1 ounce round, $6 over spot. There's a $20 spread. and then they will sell you 90% for $1 under spot, so a $20 spread between their 90% buy and sell prices. So as you can see, except for 90% on the sell side, you really aren't getting anywhere near spot right now, but they are paying you a tremendous amount below spot. It's understandable. They can't unload it to any wholesalers or refiners right now, and so they don't want to take any chances. I understand that. That's their business model. At least they're making some offers to purchase as well as their offers to sell. But again, I wouldn't be buying a lot right now. Not with the margins being this high right now. They need to be a whole lot closer to spot. And the market needs to settle down before I would even consider buying, even though the market may be creeping down to what I have as a typical buy point as markets go down. And again, the reason is for the same thing that I started this video off. Right now, I would stand aside. And let me mention a little bit more specifics on that. There are people right now that have to sell. They borrowed money to buy this silver. Foolish thing to do under any circumstances, but to borrow money at an all-time record high for silver is extremely reckless. But people still do that, and as they watch the value go down, a lot of them are having to sell. And so that's exactly what they're doing. If they didn't sell on Friday, they'll probably sell on Monday. Will the market go down because of that? I'm not saying that, nor am I saying the market's going up on Monday. I'm just saying it is so confusing right now. This is an absolute unique time in the silver market in the history of trading, at least on the U.S. exchanges. And so when you've got this type of uncertainty and you don't have to do anything, I wouldn't. The people that do have to do something are primarily going to be the people who have to sell. There's also those who are speculators. They're panicking. They did pay cash for it, but they've seen their cash investment go way down. They're very likely to cut their losses and run. So let them cut their losses and run. Don't get in their way. If somebody is wanting to sell something at a bargain price, if it turns out to be a bargain price, well, let them do that. But just get out of their way. Don't do anything right now. Again, if you don't have to sell right now, if you weren't intending on selling right now, unless you just think that the market is going to continue to plunge for the next several days or next several weeks, there's really not any thing that would motivate you to do so. And so again, if your plan was not to sell anyway, then I probably wouldn't sell. That's a personal decision, and so you have to decide what you're going to do. You may not have the outlook to be trading a market like this. Most people could not have possibly been prepared for what the market did on Friday. Some of us who've been trading this market understood that it can go down, and it can go down very fast, but I think that even caught those off guard who've been doing this for a long time. I know that there will be some who will tell you not a surprise at all to them. They're just going to sit back and buy, and that's fine. Or they'll tell you what else they knew and all that. But very many of these people are the same ones that were cheerleading the market all the way up, that were telling us the market can't do anything but go up. And so I don't know that anybody's voice right now is going to be one to really listen to. You need to make your own decisions. Look at the market, think about where it's at, think about what your goals are as far as financial goals in life. And if part of that financial goal involves silver, understand yourself why you're doing this. Many people have gotten into silver as an insurance policy. They're absolutely convinced that fiat money is about to collapse and there's not going to be anything that reflects value like precious metals, and so they're getting into precious metals for that reason. For them, price is not really an issue. They're just dollar cost averaging in whatever they can afford each month or whatever period it is that they're buying. If that's you, if you're looking at it as an insurance policy, then just continue to do what you are doing. If you're doing it for long-term savings, my wife and I saved silver for our retirement. We started doing that just about a year after we got married when nobody was even talking about silver. And so we were able to get in at a low price. We were able to continue to buy at a very low price for a lot of years. There were some years when our kids required a lot more funds than others that we didn't invest much, if any. There were even some years that we sold more than we bought. But steadily, progressively over time, we saved our retirement in silver. We were glad we did. It allowed us to retire about 3 years earlier and be able to do some things that we wanted to do. We're not wealthy by any stretch of the imagination, but we're certainly not poor because of that. And so a long-term savings, especially if you have a long time like we did when we first got married, well, you've got a lot of room. There's going to be a lot of fluctuations in the market. Don't let something like this really bother you. The only thing I would say is if you are saving your money in silver, you're going to be able to save a larger portion of silver right now. And so, again, I would stand aside and let the dust clear a little bit. Let these commissions tighten up a little bit and see if they're not going to come down a little bit. To be able to get $7 under spot for an eagle at best and have to pay $12 over spot at best, well, that's not very good. Your local coin shop will probably be able to give you some better deals than that. And if you think this is a great time, you want to go in on Monday and buy some silver, by all means do that. I'm not suggesting that you interrupt your plans. My suggestion is that you don't change your plans because of this. Because if you do, you're very likely going to get caught up in the crowd. It's kind of like some of these big stampedes that you see that'll happen at concerts every once in a while. For whatever reason, all of a sudden, everybody wants to either get in or get out at the same time. And sometimes there's fatalities from the press of the crowd and the crowd just getting so wild and carried away that they trample each other. Well, that's a good word picture for you to get in mind as far as what the silver market is doing right now. On Friday, they were trampling each other to get out of the market. They may continue that for a few days. Who knows? On Monday, they may turn around and start trampling in the other direction. Again, unless you had a plan to buy or sell, unless you have to sell right now, for example, I would just stand aside and wait until the dust clears. I would certainly make some plans. I would make prayerful plans if that's something that you do. I certainly do. And then I would go in the direction I had the most peace over. I wouldn't listen to somebody like me or anybody else on YouTube or any other so-called financial advisor for your final decision. You can listen to people and get the information you need, but once you've got the information, then you look at your own personal situation and make your own determination on that. Remember, on Friday, we had one of the largest volume days ever in the silver market. Just on the March contract alone, we sold over 320,000 contracts, or 320,000 contracts traded. That means that for every contract, there was somebody who thought the market was going to go down from that point, and on the other side, somebody betting that the market was going to go up from that point. So there was a lot of agreement on that as far as each side went, but a lot of disagreement as far as the total. That was about 1.6 billion ounces of silver traded, almost twice the annual mining supply for the world. We trade an awful lot on a typical day. About 2/3 of the world's annual mining supply trades every day on the COMEX futures market. So that's we trade a lot anyway, but to do about 2.5 times that much of the typical trading day was certainly unusual. So there was a lot of activity going on. One other thing maybe before we close out tonight, and that's just a point that the liquidity is still very poor on the retail side. While you can call up your broker and sell a futures contract or buy a futures contract, though I wouldn't do that right now, but you can trade futures contracts very easily. The liquidity on that's really good for right now. But as far as the liquidity on the physical market, well, that's about as poor as I have ever seen it, including back in 1980 when the market turned so quickly. So this is a very difficult liquidity time. There's coin shops that have gone out of business, coin dealers that have gone out of business. They were trying to do the right thing and weren't able to. The ones that are staying in business, I would support as far as to the point where they're offering fair buy and sell prices. But again, I would just stand back for a little bit and catch your breath and just see where the market's going to go before I made any big decisions on that. You can follow the market if you want to look at the Shanghai prices when the market opens in just a little bit. By the time you see this, the market will be open. You can check the Shanghai prices and see what they're paying per ounce of silver. If they're below $100 right now, then you might suspect that this market may have a ways to continue to go down. But if they're back up over $120 on the Shanghai market in US dollar equivalents, then that might give you an idea that the Shanghai market, the biggest physical market in the world, is not buying what happened on Friday. And so you can keep your eye on that. There's different sites you can go to see what it's trading for in Shanghai right now, and you can convert that to US dollars. There's a gentleman by the name of Fei Yin, F-E-I, and then the second name Yin, and he gives an update just about every day on the Shanghai market. That might be a YouTube channel you want to check out just for informational purposes on that. But again, we're at an unusual time. There's never been anything like this that's happened either on the side that when it was going up, almost straight up in the last couple of weeks, or to go straight down like it did in this dollar amount. This is a unique time. So don't get too caught up with what the experts are saying right now, because they've never been through anything like this. If you had a plan and you don't have to sell right now, and you don't have to buy, just go by your plan. And if you're dollar cost averaging, just look at this as a gift, and when the dust settles, go ahead and buy whatever you were planning on. Find the best premium you can do that, and just continue to add to your stack, whether it's for insurance purposes or savings purposes. If you're speculating, I really don't have any advice for you. I think that this is a dangerous market to speculate in, even though I did that for a number of years, trading futures for a number of years. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole right now. One reason is I'm retired. I don't have the balance sheet that I used to, but I also have learned that there are certain markets that you can get burned, and burned really bad in, if you are operating on any kind of a margin. Don't play with the money that you need for your rent and for your groceries. You want to use money that you can afford to set aside for savings right now. If you're doing anything other than that, you're speculating and you're taking a chance. And I suspect a lot of people found that out this last Friday. So, catch your breath. Even though the market's open by the time you see this, just go with your plan. If you don't have one, make a prayerful plan. Look at your old plan and see if it needs any adjustment. But do that in the calm hours when the market's not trading if you want to make the best and the most rational decisions. Thank you for watching. Please share your comments. The comment section has just been outstanding. I have learned a lot from it, so thank you for sharing your comments. For those of you who have subscribed, I really appreciate your doing that. And thank you for watching this far into the video. I appreciate your watching, and I hope we'll see you again next time. God bless.